Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto faced Dai Shi from Power Rangers? Part 1. Huge shout out to Shinobi Gatana for this story. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Ooh. Whoa. Dude. That was brutal. I don't know where I am. A man out of place and time stated as he took a moment to take in his surroundings. He slowly turned to where a small explosion just occurred. Being lost and alone didn't change one important thing. He was a ranger, and someone might need help. He took in a deep breath and then exhaled it. Gaining a bit of focus, he took off toward the direction of chaos. Meanwhile, a few short moments ago a battle raged quite fiercely, but eventually a masked man with a blue forehead protector with a reinforced silver metal plate with a leaf adorned his silver-haired head. Hokage Kakashi nearly managed to finish a fight with a mercenary known as Zabuza. Demon of the Hidden Mist right before his effeminately portrayed partner Haku failed to intercept and deflect the lightning-powered chakra blade. His master was still fatally hit. The masked-wearing ninja saw his orange-wearing student Uzumaki Naruto and his pink-haired student Haruno Sakura cradling their third and final teammate Sasuke. Naruto slowly stood up, his emotions running wild as he began walking toward the boy whose fault his new teammate and almost friend died. Kakashi gripped the front of broken Haku's neck to finish their other foe as he quickly drew a kunai as he was all but out of chakra, but was stopped as his orange-wearing student screamed out, "Stop sensei, hold up. We are better than this." Naruto felt a small attachment to the Haku boy. Naruto, not having a lot of companionship back in his hometown, found himself not wanting to see Haku die despite what he did to Sasuke. He had not quite lost his innocence just yet. He emotionally latched onto Haku as a real friend, although they only knew each other for a few days, and now today as enemies. It hurt, but Naruto played the part of fool well, and he knew Haku was the one he saw in the forest, getting healing herbs for Zabuza, as plants were a small, relatively secret hobby of his. Naruto forced his heart to harden slightly, and with eyes cold, he said, he has to pay for what he did to Sasuke, but let it be in the Konoha prison. Or at least let T and I have a crack at him. We may learn a thing or two. Zabuza may have had many secrets that might benefit the Leaf, Naruto stated, trying to at least save the young man's life, if nothing else. Zabuza, whose blood was quickly draining out, realized just how dangerous the blonde maggot truly was. He was impressed and managed to look up to Haku and say, "The blonde brat will do great things. If they agree to let you live, do not try to fight them. Follow him. As my last request as your master, please follow him to greatness and help to purify my legacy, my son Haku." Haku, well still in Hokage's hands, managed to warble out, "As you command, my father," and Zabuza died able to make amends before going to meet the Shinigami. Haku's fight left him as he looked to Kakashi and stated, "I have given my word to follow the Orange One. My word is my bond, but it is up to you whether you want to send me to the Shinigami or have me work side by side with Naruto." "Sama," he forced out sadly. The weasel-like voice cut through the moment of silence, which left Team 7 quite livid. "So, Zabuza really was a little bitch, huh? I also no longer have a rent-a-merc contract to finish paying out. Leave now, leave the girly boy, and I might just let you live. But if you think of trying anything," the miniature man out of a bad gangster movie said. He did a cutting motion across his throat. Hundreds of men walked out of the woodworks holding nearly all of the villagers hostage. Naruto's eyes nearly bulged out in shock, as did his still conscious teammates. Kakashi was ready to pull his team out, not ready to lose another team like his childhood team. Naruto took a single step forward. "Monster." Naruto screamed. "You touch a single one of them, any of you, I will kill every single one of you bastards." Much to the shock of his pink-haired teammate and sensei. Naruto's eyes watered at what he said, much to the relief of his sensei, meaning this was said out of love of mankind, rather than being influenced by the evil entity within Naruto, but his determination shined through like a supernova. An animalistic gold and purple flicker of aura appeared around Naruto, then vanished as quickly as it appeared. That flicker was the only sign a hidden figure needed before he knew what he needed to do and why he was brought to this strange place. Before a single person moved, a purple blur appeared and slammed into the ground at the center of the group. A burst of wind knocked everyone back. The man in purple snarled as he stood slowly and told the civilians, "Go back to your homes and lock the doors." I don't like the fact that a pre-teen or teen has to say what he just said, much less consider it. I trained my own team of young warriors a few years older, but he shouldn't have to bloody his hands at such a young age. The look in his eyes tells me he has every intention of doing exactly what he promises, and he doesn't look like someone who goes back on his promises. His body is wound tight and in a martial arts stance. His clothes hide it, but I can see a bit of the musculature of a real deal warrior, so let me break this down for you all. Try to take a single life, and I will help the little man in orange break a few bones. Clear? the man stated with an impressive amount of venom. No killing intent, but the fear he created was quite palpable. Who the hell are you supposed to be? The short pudgy pile of mucus asked. Because I might have a place on my peril for someone who can make an entrance like that, said, knowing the new arrival could be as much of a headache as Zabuza. The man in purple sighed as he really wasn't the monologue type, but felt he'd better make his position known. Someone who doesn't like fighting. I have done enough fighting in my life and abhor the idea of taking a human life. But I am not someone who will sit idly by while you threaten an entire town. From the little I have picked up, these guys with the hit-eyed are some sort of ninja and are trying to protect this town from you. I don't take bullies lightly. So I will only say this once. Leave now before you really make me mad. He roared. Even Naruto took a step back, not knowing anything about this new arrival, but liked what he saw so far. This guy was no joke. He carried himself in a loose stance, but his muscles showed he was ready to strike. Kakashi realized the same thing and was glad Naruto had the good sense to step back. The villagers snuck off little by little. The thugs too curious scared to make a move. Gato was not happy however and snarked, "Funk it. Kill him, then kill them all. Wave is mine." "Ah!" the new arrival stated in a slightly deeper menacing voice. "I warned you. I will step into the arena and show you the power of the spirit of the wolf." RJ concentrated and summoned a purple enshrouded wolf spirit and unleashed it upon 20 of the thugs before it vanished. He then took off at an incredible speed. One Kakashi could barely keep up with now that he covered his Sharingan back up, and even then, he wasn't sure the man in front of him was going at his full speed. He considered uncovering it again to see what he could learn of from this new arrival, but his chakra was too low to even consider it. The purple man's brown hair blinded a thug that tried to sneak up on him as he spun around and smashed his elbow into the first thug's face. He then leaped forward and descended upon another thug's chest with both knees. Naruto stepped forward and crossed his fingers and narrowed his eyes as he called out, "Kage Bunshin." And 15 clones went to start attacking the rest of Gato's tyrants. Naruto however stayed back and watched his clones. He wanted to jump in, but thought better of it upon seeing his teammates' various conditions behind him. He could not trust Haku as he didn't know him yet, although he really wanted to. Kakashi was barely standing, so he opted to stay back and watch this new warrior and how he fought. No movements wasted. Each strike non-lethal, but meant to cause great distress. Naruto was impressed. He tried not to drop his mask of idiocy so soon, so he could actually sneak off and learn in private as he figured out a trick with the Kage Bunshin with his fight with Haku. He remembered seeing the same scene play out from another angle. That of one of his shadow clones. After a few moments, there was only one person that remained standing of Gato's forces. The little turd himself. Naruto walked forward, keeping a wary eye on the man in the purple guy top and black martial arts pants who took in a deep breath again and released seemingly to decompress after such a fierce battle. To everyone's surprise the man calmly stated, "Not even a workout." Naruto made his way to the little man who had fallen over and drew a small blade. The new arrival gently but firmly placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder to which Naruto slashed out on instinct. The man simply tilted slightly to avoid the blade. Naruto was slightly taken aback by how easily the man avoided his attack and went into a sloppy stance. But before he did, the man held his hands up in surrender. Whoa little dude. I just think there might be a better way. Only kill when there's no other option. Naruto, stand down. We owe this man for stepping in and aiding us. But might we ask your name, stranger? Kakashi asked cautiously. Edo took this as his chance to try to sneak away. A certain dark-haired teen who had regained consciousness minutes before stayed silent and lying perfectly, still decided to make himself known and flung a kunai into the meat of Gato's calf, causing Naruto and the stranger to jump out of the way. The escapee however screamed out in agony. "Damn it, Sasuke. Now we're going to have to carry him back unless you've got a spare prison scroll, sensei," Naruto asked, his joking demeanor fighting off the relief at seeing the teammate he thought perished only moments earlier. The stranger sighed and slowly faced the remainder of the group, ignoring the cries of pained anguish from the thugs as the new arrival left them all alive. He then answered, how about you all introduce yourselves and tell me how come kids are being trained as child soldiers, please." Nearly everyone including the slightly bleeding out Gato sweat dropped at that. His answer left the Konoha shinobi suspicious, but Kakashi spoke, "We are shinobi of the leaf. Konohagakure no Sato. I am Team Captain Hot Aki Kakashi, and these are my students who will not give out any further information until we know a little more about you. I am thankful you came to aid my team and could likely still kill us all, but seeing as you seem somewhat against killing, I am willing to speak semi-candidly." With a small nod the purple man acknowledged names Robert James. "But you all can call me RJ for short. As for anything else I think I may have been thrown to a parallel dimension to my own. I don't know your level of technology or mystic arts in this world, but in mine it's rare, but not impossible. It took all of Kakashi's willpower not to roll his visible eye, as he didn't want to antagonize this individual, before regaining a good deal of his chakra, not to mention their prisoner freed himself long ago, but made no move to escape or harm his team. Kakashi was slowly gathering what little chakra he could in case he needed to move fast for either one. RJ then stated, I'm a pretty good judge of character. And you with the gravity-defying hair can lower the killing vibe, my friends. If I wanted to hurt any one of you, I could have taken you out before revealing myself to those bozos on the ground. Oh yeah, and the boy in blue has made no attempt to leave, but he feels as if he is on fight or flight, but leaning more towards flight, but something is keeping him put. Haku's eyes narrowed dangerously. He didn't like being called out, but RJ was taking no chances that someone could be hurt when it could have been avoided. He then waited in anticipation for the next question. It came from the orange-wearing nin. RJ, he said carefully. If I may, how did you learn to fight like that? I have seen a few different styles, but nothing like what you did before. RJ was by no means stupid and decided that if he was to gain trust and find out where his path was to take him, he needed to be candid to a point. I have studied various martial arts since I could walk, starting with the basics of shark form from my father, tiger from my mother, phoenix from a former enemy, tiger and dragon from my former master, Mao, and then I found my own inner animal which I resonated with. My personal style is the wolf. It's a combination of Kenpo, which is the base of all of the styles I mentioned. At least in the special school I attended. The other is Muay Thai. A fierce and brutal style meant to break bones. I also leaned another style, but don't use it, no matter the reason, unless it's a planet-wide emergency and I need speed fast. It's out of respect for the master who passed away many years ago. Jeet Kune Do. I was next in line to lead my school of Kung Fu Phai Zhau practitioners, but my students Casey and two of our friends Lily and Theo proved they were children of prophecy and saved our very world. I stepped down, but stayed around in case they needed me. To everyone's surprise, it was Sakura who made the next suggestion. Hello RJ. She looked to her sensei who nodded his assent. My name is Haruno Sakura and I believe it would be wise if you came to our village. During this time, Naruto made his way over to Gato. He wanted to end the evil little troll, but figured that would not go over too well with RJ who kept him in his peripheral vision. Kakashi tossed Naruto a prisoner scroll to which Gato was promptly sealed before he had a chance to complain. Naruto thanked his one caring former academy teacher silently for teaching him how to use different types of storage seals recently. RJ, having worked with sealing techniques himself, didn't really say anything. He then asked, why would I journey with you to your village? He was genuinely curious what the girl would say. Hokage-sama is known as Shinobi no Kami and the professor. He might be able to help you make sense of things, Sakura supplied. RJ tilted his eyebrow a bit and asked, Fire Shadow? He took note that Naruto had rejoined his group and nodded enthusiastically. Pride on his face at the very word Hokage. RJ also noted, so, they use a broken form of an English-Japanese hybrid language here. Cool beans. After only another minute, Kakashi fell over, exhaustion finally taking over, but before anyone had time to move, RJ had already scooped him up and asked, your team captain is not ready for a journey and needs rest. Is there somewhere we can set him where he can comfortably rest? After a moment of hesitation, Naruto led the group to an old bridge builder's home. The bridge builder Tazuna recognized the men who saved his village. The boy in too much orange and the purple stranger. The others he barely paid any attention to. Haku fell into a sad silence. Tazuna let them enter and helped them get situated. RJ quickly explained what occurred and asked to be made aware when Kakashi awoke. While he couldn't shake it, he felt a feeling of hurt and anguish in Naruto like he felt in his friend Jarrod from years past. He needed to train this boy and help him find the light before darkness consumed him. He glanced at the boy in dark blue and realized the same thing. That boy was already on his way to becoming the next Dai Shi. His and his students' greatest enemy in times past. RJ eventually made his way to the roof where he sat to meditate for a bit. Naruto waited until after Sakura and Sasuke were asleep and silently snuck Haku outside. He stated, I am going to bury Zabuza. He showed he wasn't a total tool in the end. You are free to join me. You can escape. We both know you could tear me apart if you wanted. But you also avoided killing Sasuke like we thought you did. You aimed for non-vital spots and had more than one chance to remedy that. I won't forget what you did for my team. Haku took a long careful moment to decide what he would do as he really did consider making a run for it but wondered where he would actually go or end up. Zabuza was the one with all of the connections, although Haku knew of a lot of them, they would likely try to take advantage of him without Zabuza being present, especially when word of Zabuza's death got out. He then stated, I don't want to be tortured and whatnot. I am not naive enough to think Konoha would accept me with open arms. My master's wishes be damned. I have to live for myself now, the slightly older boy stated, not hiding his single tear as they reached Zabuza's body. Fortunately no one had touched his sword yet. Haku, well, thinking someone like Zabuza would love to be buried with their sword, the Kubikirabacho was too valuable and too dangerous to be allowed to be left unguarded. He removed his now former master's harness and tied it around him and mounted the sword. He silently helped Naruto bury his master, then turned to start on his own journey until Naruto called out to him. Wait. I can vouch for you with the old man, especially since you didn't kill Sasuke like we thought you did. You could have used lethal force that entire time, but you didn't. The Hokage is like a grandfather to me, and I will do what I can to help ease your transition into Konoha. Plus Konoha honestly has a fetish for bloodline users. Unlike the mist, the leaf would be far more willing to accommodate your unique qualities. Haku rolled his eyes, and use me as a breeding machine, I think not. You might be a little too young to know about this, but hidden villages use the Clan Restoration Act to make me marry multiple wives. I will only take one wife, and that will be for love if I marry at all. Naruto thought long and hard and then stated, then come to Konoha as my trainer. Maybe throw in a few sessions for Sasuke. He has a desire for revenge against someone. He comes from a powerful clan. Last of his clan, but still loved by Konoha. If you are seen as helping him, then you can be under the protection of the Uchiha banner if he agrees. Naruto rationalized. Being so engrossed in their conversation, they didn't hear anyone approach as a baritone voice stated, you help me get strong enough to kill my brother, I will vouch for you personally, and demanded. The Civi Council rides my walking stick like it's made of gold. I don't like using my family name as a crutch. I tend to use it to squeeze out a jutsu here or there, but the civilian council are so enamored by the illusion of me being their savior for some reason. Make me as strong as you are now within the next 6 months, and I will put forth every resource I can to help keep you protected. Hell, I see how they look at Naruto. I let them know Naruto got me an additional sensei to help me get stronger. The powerful loyal Uchiha and the leaf will have them salivating. Sasuke offered. Both Naruto and Haku glared at him for sneaking up on them, but Naruto finally asked, why would you do that for me? Sasuke thought for a moment and realized, I don't like owing people, and I heard what you just asked Haku-san to do. I get lessons even with her, no excuse me, him being your servant. I also don't forget when someone looks out for me, especially with something to help me get my vengeance. Haku didn't like the idea of training someone to get revenge, but after a few more minutes of talking and a brief breakdown of the Uchiha massacre, Haku reluctantly agreed. Before another thing could be said, a thunderous roar could be heard and an aura from below the ground poured out and seemed to try to enshroud Sasuke, but instead encompassed Naruto as he shoved Sasuke out of the way. Haku and Sasuke managed to jump back. Naruto grabbed his head and screamed out in pained agony. Kakashi, who'd been sleeping, woke and flew out of the door, seeing RJ racing ahead of him, followed by a few moments later by Sakura, who had enough sense to close and lock the door behind her. The group sped toward an ever-glowing light. Meanwhile, inside of Naruto's hidden seal, a dark force started materializing, overshadowing even the current tenant, silencing even his presence with said power. A deep malicious voice rumbled from deep within Naruto. I found someone with a darkness in his heart and you got in my way. I shall take your soul instead, so says the Dai Shi. Two presences pushed back. The new presence fought fiercely in a battle of wills and power against this other invisible force. That battle allowed Naruto to scream out, otherwise he would have been taken over little by little in silence by this new force. The new voices managed to slightly pull Naruto into his own mind, and he screamed on the outside as his body was in agony, but his mind was now internally protected. Naruto, no time to explain. I'm part of the spirit from the 4th Hokage and your father. I had to put the 9-tailed fox into you to save the village. I asked Hiruzen to tell you when you were strong enough to protect yourself from my and your mother's numerous powerful enemies. I need you to trust me, he said as his form and that of a red-haired woman faded into existence. My spirit was to appear if the 9 tails power ever went out of control, and you made it to 8 tails of his power. Kushina picked up. I'm your Ka-san Uzumaki Kushina and I died when your father did. No time to get into details, as we are trying to stop something evil from taking over your body, and I don't mean the furball. I can barely feel him right now. This evil's presence is non-corporeal, meaning we can't touch it, but your father's special seal that he used to catch a tailed beast ball might be able to draw the evil out. I can sense Kashi-kun outside of your seal approaching fast. Tell Kakashi before it's too late. If we manage to hold him off, we may not have time before join our true selves in death. We love you, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. Now move. Kushina ordered. Naruto stood in his mindscape taking in everything and only knew something wasn't right but felt he could trust these two but didn't think Kakashi would believe such a crazy story. He pointed out, with tears in his eyes, I just found you, but didn't fall to his knees like he wanted to. He hardened his resolve and said, but Kakashi-sensei won't believe something so crazy. Both Kushina and Minato sighed in relief at who his sensei was. Minato quickly said, reason for no Chidori was because the eye problem, he'll understand. Kushina added, and his secret confiscated bra of legendary Kunoichi of the Sannin, Tsunade days, that he lost a bet with Obito to steal was red. Naruto blushed, but nodded and closed his eyes, not bothering trying to find the fox, he just wanted to get this thing out of him, and he wasn't Yamanaka, and didn't know how to fight off things mentally. He managed to exit his mind, but ended up screaming out. He opened his eyes and saw his sensei coming in fast and said, Mom and Dad's spirit in me. Will be gone soon. Said use seal Dad did to catch bijuu Dama when Kyuubi attacked. It should draw out the evil trying to take me over. It's not the furball. Naruto ground out and fell to his knees, then rolled around on the ground in agony as he was assaulted mentally and physically. Naruto forced himself to still slightly so he could get out the rest of what he needed to say. Kakashi pulled out a kunai dreading what he might have to do if the Kyuubi was trying to escape as nothing else made sense, and Naruto's claim his parents were in him was likely just the fox's mechanization. He believed that until he heard, Dad says no Chidori with I, and Mom says Tsunade red bra. He tried. Kakashi immediately put the kunai away and pulled out a mini blank scroll, ink and a pen, and started quickly drawing out his master's most powerful vacuum seal. Protect the leaf stop Dai Shi. Naruto roared as a burst of black evil energy soared quickly around Naruto. The blast knocked the sealing supplies away from Kakashi. Sasuke quickly scrambled to recover said items, while Haku created a small ice barrier to protect everyone from whatever those strange waves were. RJ was trying to figure out how he might be able to help but went stock still the moment he heard Dai Shi. And asked for clarification. Did Naruto just say Dai Shi, his voice dire? That dire voice concerned Kakashi. Do you know of this Dai Shi? He was careful and not back to full strength after only a few hours of rest. Dai Shi nearly destroyed my world. My team and I took the fight to him and managed to defeat him, but that was nearly 10 years ago. He should not have been reformed. It took the power of our chosen 3 Phai Zhau, newly christened masters to stop him. I am a master in my own right, but I don't know if I have enough power to get rid of Dai Shi from your student on my own. RJ warned. Kakashi was desperate. Sakura, who couldn't give two shits about her teammate, or so it appeared, didn't want him to die at the very least and said, please help Naruto RJ. Kakashi wanted to stop him, but due to that last blast, his supplies were scattered, and if nothing else, he would do nearly anything to save his comrades in arms. He nodded to RJ. Before RJ could do anything, Naruto's screams died down, and he eventually ended up on his feet, then began to levitate. A deep voice using Naruto's lips stated, you were well guarded little orange one, but you shall not escape my power so easily. RJ leaped into the air and placed his hands in a Mai Tai stance and came down upon Naruto's form, which had a black and dark purple aura surrounding him. RJ concentrated all of his spiritual energy into the form of a figure as he called out, I call upon the spirit of the wolf to free this noble spirit from the evils of Dai Shi. The purple wolf-like creature appeared and ran forward ahead of RJ and slammed into Naruto, nearly shaking him free. Dai Shi, however, had other plans. Phai Zhau, he roared. I shall have my vengeance. This vessel is mine. I will not lose this one as I did the one known as Jarrod. Naruto rose into the air and his body began slowly transforming into something. RJ fell to the ground and rolled out of a painful spin back to his feet. He lifted his wrist and a purple glow appeared and a device appeared on his left said wrist. He flipped up a switch on said device and after taking a quick look back at those behind him, he knew secrets were a moot point now. He moved his hands in the requisite secret stances of the Phai Zhau and called out, Jungle Beast. Spirit unleashed. The fierce howl was heard as RJ went through a few different fighting kata and a new suit and helmet appeared on him. It was form-fitting and purple. Almost a tracksuit of some kind, but not one redonkulous's as that of what certain green spandex-wearing melee specialists utilized. Said man landed back on the ground after less than 2 seconds in the air from whatever that transformation sequence was. The ninja looked up, wondering why he would use a transformation technique of some kind in such a dire situation, even one so elaborate. Before they could ask any questions, RJ leaped up and forward calling out, call to the beast inside, free the wolf. To RJ's great relief, he heard the sound of 2 more old friends, with much more grizzled voices, but friends nonetheless. Call to the spirit inside, free the tiger. And call to the spirit inside, free the jaguar. The giant mechanical wolf appeared around RJ, and 2 more mechanical animals appeared in a stream above the wolf. A red tiger-like machine, and a blue jaguar. The voice inside the tiger stated, RJ, long story short, you still seem young and spry. You've been gone for nearly 65 years, and Theo, his wife Lily, he added slyly, much to the old Jaguar Master's annoyance, and ire with the ancestors. Jarrod and Camille stayed behind to watch over the school with Dom, who came back after years of searching for you with Fran to who wife. To which RJ allowed a brief smile under his helmet, knowing his friends did okay, but was saddened they lost a few years searching for him. Theo then said, "We can only do this once, so let's make it count. Your call carried your desire to protect through time and space. Don't know where you are, but you are not alone. Trust in your new allies. We can feel them near you now." RJ smiled inside his helmet and said, "No worries my dudes. I'll keep our will of the Phai Zhau alive and honorable as I can. Now let's get to jetting." Wolf Pride Megazord. They finished in sync. The shinobi jumped back in fear of the three giant mechanized creatures and realized just how powerful RJ really was. It terrified them to know what this one man could do with not one, but three massive summons, each almost as tall as those of the legendary Sannin. Even Haku, who wasn't from Konoha, knew from legends how large some summons can become. Before they could contemplate any further, the massive beast merged. Kakashi knew that even at full strength, he would not have been a match for the wolf warrior. Especially if he was adept at breaking mental illusions such as Gain Jutsu or base hypnosis. No chance he'd be able to take him. Good thing he seemed to be on their side and willing to help Naruto. Kakashi went back to working on the seal as the three robots finished combining. Two incorporeal figures stood on each side of the Wolf Ranger. One in a similar blue suit and the other in a red suit. They moved in perfect harmony as each strike struck at the gathering form that kept trying to cover Naruto. Trying to push away the robot at each possible step, but RJ and his former students were relentless in their attempts to break the orange-clad team free, but nothing seemed to work. Sasuke was not a fan of his orange eyesore of a teammate, but something deep inside said he had to dig deep and help the loudmouth somehow. He quietly started off toward the battle, not 100 feet away from him. He saw what appeared to be a giant black arm surround Naruto, blocking any attempts to free him. Then a much larger body quickly formed around Naruto's body with him dead center, his eyes opened and glowed a sickly shade of green. The chorus of voices spoke from the ethereal, and with each word, hope began to surge in the Wolf Ranger. "RJ, you're not alone. All of us are with you. Masters, friends, and family." The last word he felt from his third student Lily. Jungle Pride Ultrazord power. Infinite charge. Focus on the outer armor so we can chip it away and save Naruto. Let's be careful, but let's get her done. RJ ordered. But those few words, a large white mechanized rhinoceros led a fleet of nearly 10 Zords from the sky. They all started to come together as the WPM, Wolf Pride Megazord, leaped into sky and joined with the rest of the Zords for the first and last time in history as a single Jungle Fury Ultrazord combination. The Rhino landed with the rest of the Zords fused to the top of its back and her side. All of at once the Zord amalgamation raced forward with multiple lasers firing out of the mouths of different animal spirits, as well as being struck at by different projectiles and melee weapons. The newly formed yet still semi-weak Dai Shi armor appeared to be cracking slightly, but they were hesitant to use the Rhino's sword nose as it might harm the innocent boy they were trying to rescue. RJ looked down to his left and saw that Kakashi managed to finish his seal and was waiting for the instructions on when to use it. He seemed to have incorporated it into a set of short blades. A kunai if RJ remembered correctly. He was nearly visibly trembling, wanting to leap forward and try to draw out whatever evil gripped his sensei's son, but he then remembered he had his other wards with him. "Get out of here. We'll deal with freeing Naruto. Now move." "That's an order," Kakashi commanded to a duo that then deadpanned. Haku and Sasuke had just been talking with Naruto about helping each other out. There was no way they were going to leave him behind, especially after what it sounded like he was willing to do to help them. Naruto had inadvertently helped to solidify the team dynamics the will of fire embodied. After rolling their eyes, Sasuke and Haku asked nearly simultaneously, "How can we help?" While annoyed at having his order ignored, he couldn't help but feel proud of Sasuke and a bit more trust toward Haku. He gave off an exaggerated sigh and said, "Just add as much chakra to the ground where my foot is. I will try to utilize it to add some extra oomph to the seal on these kunai with the extra chakra. I will never release the boy. This vessel is mine. And with the power of this accursed fox here as well, I will use his power to rule this world as the Phai Zhau Power Rangers denied me the last world I inhabited. I don't feel but one Phai Zhau master here. The others are but a faint imprint of the past. This world is mine to mold in my image. This boy fights me even now, but he is young and inexperienced. I will wear him down, cast his mind out, and take his very soul into the darkness." The evil creature thought simply, then raises Naruto's hand and sends out a pulse. The Zords were thrown back and forced apart, pulses of electrical energy surging every few seconds. Each tried to get back up but failed and started to vanish one by one. The only ones that didn't were the WPM and the Rhinozord. RJ shook off his shock and jumped on top of the Megazord, which was standing again after a moment. He looked over at Kakashi and roared, "Now." Sasuke and Haku threw their hands on the ground and threw a steady stream of chakra into ground to the immediate left and right of Kakashi. The kunai were glowing as Kakashi crossed them, but didn't pull the enemy in. Kakashi then remembered he has to be attacking or closer so the seal can draw in the energy. RJ didn't speak. He raced forward with his students, flipped over the glowing transparent armor Naruto was now sporting and kicked with all of their Zord's might, pushing Naruto significantly nearer to Kakashi. Bits of black energy started being drawn into the seal array. Inside of Naruto's mindscape, Naruto alongside his parents were now being held together with a nine-tailed fox spirit with nothing between them and very little access to their chakra at the mercy of said beast in his cage. For Dai Shi knew eviscerating the child's spirit and mind would make his body that much easier to control, thus with not even a flick of his wrist, he placed the boy in a place of his nightmares. But to the surprise of the fox, Naruto didn't back down, even without chakra as evidenced by him taking a step forward and shaking his mom's arm off him, and he asked, "Why did you attack my village QB dono?" The QB sat up in preparation to kill said boy and his parents, dying be damned, but he was already far more livid at being closed off from the rest of the Sower, so he was essentially in a black room with his cage bars. Naruto's question while being inside caused the fox to let out a laugh. Not a derisive laugh, but a full-on belly laugh at the pure lunacy of the situation. The fox then laid back down and relayed, "An Uchiha bastard took me over and sent me to rampage. Your father there, yes father, in case you don't have eyes and see, you look just like the asshat that sealed me as I tried to escape after he freed me from the Uchiha, but I had already killed so many. He couldn't chance me going on another rampage or that Uchiha limp beep coming after me again, thus repeating history. I mean, I was sealed in your mom and the Shodaime Hokage's wife before her. So forgive me for making your life shitty." The fox asked facetiously, but after a few moments, Naruto surprised everyone and said, "Yes." The fwax. Everyone except Naruto thought. "I can see what you all are thinking, but being stuck in a cage for the last 100 years or so, and he had a chance to be free, I might have done the same. It also shows he is not a mindless beast. He is someone with feelings and that should be respected, not outright feared," Naruto stated carefully. "I can feel that I am losing myself and I cannot win this fight alone. I have tried to fight with what little strength I have and the little time my parents have left has helped, but it's not enough. I cannot free us from that bastard Daishi as I am now, and I humbly ask for your strength, nine-tailed fox-sama. I believe with the might of the great-tailed fox, I can overcome some wanted demon." Naruto said honestly, but not without a touch of trying to sweet-talk the fox into granting him strength to get out of this situation. Said fox very obviously rolled his eyes but said, "You amuse me, kid. My chakra is being blocked right now, but with us working together, we might be able to push back and help those knuckle draggers who are fighting. I can feel a good deal of chakra being thrown around and some energies I don't recognize." Naruto was about to accept before he remembered, is there a way to use your strength without the angry feeling? I mean, it felt pretty damn good. Almost like a drug as I noticed not 6 hours ago, but I want to stay in control in case I do get free. I might be able to help turn the tides against this Dai Shi super villain poser, but that won't do any good if I start killing random people after killing Dai Shi. The multi-tailed spirit nodded, "Since we might die here in a few minutes should this deranged plan not work out." Name's Kurama. One of the 11 sons of the one you know as the Sage of the Six Paths. No, I am not messing with you. His birth children were two-footed idiots, but you remind me of the slightly less annoying one Ashura. The now named Kurama, the QB no Kitsune introduced. Kushina and Minato were too stunned to try to stop Naruto as he walked forward and placed his fist out, and the fox extended his fist-like paw. The moment they touched, there was an explosion of blue energy that came from Naruto, then died down to a dim warm aura around him. The golden aura appeared around Naruto, Kurama, Kushina, and Minato. A voice spoke to Kurama and said, "It's not nice teasing your elder brother Kurama. Even an absentee one. I love you, Dad misses you and the others. We got a quick note in the afterlife that Daishi was free. Once he got a hold of Naruto, my spirit awoke in him. I sent a message to Dad and he vice versa. Daishi. He's notorious even among those of this world's ancients. I don't have much time. I am reincarnated in this blondie and I can't take not taking action any longer. I had my life and don't plan on trying to take over, but I can't have my brother and his protector weak." Kurama rolled his slightly watering eyes at the obvious barb, but it instantly confirmed his elder brother. He smiled, not thinking he would ever feel the presence of a family member again. Now knowing Naruto was literally the reincarnation of his elder brother annoyed him to high heaven. It meant Naruto would play this card every chance he got if he could. But before he could lament further he felt a force slam on his head and Naruto grabbed his head as well and screamed out, "What the heck, man?" Trying to watch his language for his parents' sake. Then he and Kurama glowed gold and a beautiful jade green, then a near neon orange. Kurama's shape changed, shrinking until it was no larger than a kunai. Kurama's essence started to form around the inner manifestation of Naruto. Naruto's eyes flashed white hot for the briefest millisecond and a serpent with giant wings, a lean, yet powerfully looking body with 4 legs and a relatively long tail, burst forward from Naruto's chest, but there was no damage. It was a bright golden yellow with tints of red that flew around behind Naruto and grew to the size of a full-on beast once more. Both Naruto, who was now glowing with equal intensity, stated, "Mom, Dad, Kurama and I have merged our spirits. Ashura was an ass and did this without our permission, but it should be enough to get the job done. Kurama is still here with me, but now, not even he knows how to use what we have, as he is no longer the 9-tailed fox. We are now the Hikari no Ryu. It also means when I die, he dies, but the difference now is if he dies first, then I die as well. We are now truly united." The inner walls started to shatter, and a dark essence started to fill the air, more so than it already did in the seal. Placing his hands together as if to send out a pulse of chakra, he grunted as he tried to instinctively summon something deep within. He and Kurama felt it. Something wonderful. "I need to do something quick because I have a ton of power surging, while Brainless is trying to keep us locked in this tiny area of the seal." Naruto tilted his head back and angled it to ask, "You ready to do this, Ataudo?" To which Kurama's still extremely bass voice rumbled with slight amusement but threatened, "Call me that again, and I will eat you. I leave the fig trees alone, I might even let bugs live. Yeah. Bugs don't really bother me too much." To which Minato and Kushina deadpanned but could genuinely not feel a trace of evil intent toward their son, although Minato still got a slight dirty look from both Naruto and Kurama. Naruto felt his soul fighting and Dai Shi fighting back with an almost infinite supply of hatred. Hatred Naruto and Kurama right then decided they would never allow. The raw feelings of it were horrible. Little by little Naruto was able to see outside his own eyes, but barely. He heard things like call to the beast inside and jungle beast and spirit of some sort of animal. "Call to the beast, I'll show them a beast," Kurama scowled aloud. Outside of Naruto's body. After a moment he managed to for a touch of control back to himself and yelled, "What the hell is taking you bozo so long? Take him out. I will heal, I think. Sensei, send a jolt of lightning through this freak. Databeo." Kakashi couldn't help but laugh as he lowered the twin kunai and summoned his old chakra metal Anbu blade from his former days as one of Konoha's elite wet work teams. He then started the hand seals for his famed assassination technique, the Rikiri. Sasuke's mind was afire as an idea hit him. "Kakashi. Focus on the tip of the blade and send a concentrated burst of chakra. I don't know how long the metal will be able to take it, but it might give Naruto a chance to break free if you can send it as a blast from the tip of your sword." Kakashi decided to focus the Rikiri into a spear and pointed it in a non-lethal area just in case Naruto could be saved. Rikiri Javelin. Kakashi named the move. A continuous blast of blue and white lightning danced wildly across the now closed distance until it hit the Dai Shi's transparent armor. Dai Shi turned his attention back to the shinobi, having just swatted away another Zord strike. That lightning stung just a bit and now Dai Shi realized he would have the same issues he had with his former host. He was not at full power. The hit did however distract Dai Shi long enough for female who'd been in hiding to step out, having forced Izuna and his family to stay back at the house under the protection of the few shadow clones she noted Kakashi discreetly made. Fortunately said clones were just as lazy as the original and thought it would be too much of a pain to stop her from going out. Plus she was showing a small sense of teamwork. Naruto's pink-haired teammate screamed out, "Is this how a no-name loser is going to become Hokage? Where is your so-called will of fire you keep spouting about? I believe it when Lord Third talks about it, the will of fire, but from you? Where's that orange eyesore who screams about never giving up and something about it being your ninja way? Hell. I might have even went on a date with someone who could fight off whatever the big armored what is that, a rat-looking mofo that is trying to cover your person. I thought you were a man. I guess I was right, Naruto. You really are a little bitch." Inside of Naruto's head, he had a tick mark one that was on top of a blood vessel threatening to explode. Kushina, Minato, and even Dragon Kurama were on the ground, slamming their fists to on said ground in tears, laughing their asses off. Naruto stood up a bit taller and screamed out from Dainaru's mouth. "You don't have to be such a bitch about it, Sakura-chan," the chan being added smartly. "Maybe I'll ask Hinata out. She's less violent and has that cute little stutter. So ha." He joked lightly, but much to his surprise, Sasuke, Sakura, and even ever laid-back Kakashi spouted, "Finally. Dainaru's eyebrow rose, and as a group of Zords slowly prowled closer to Dainaru, Sakura stated, "Hinata's had a crush on you for years. Why do you think I never gave you the time of day? I like this handsome Uchiha devil." She pointed to Sasuke, and for once, he beeped his head up like a chicken for dramatic and amusement effect, seeing he had his teammate back for a second. Then Sakura continued, "But you are a catch too, but the girls have a code. Hinata really likes you and would probably whip my ass if I tried to take you." Sakura embellished a bit maybe. Naruto's eyes nearly bulged out as then very clearly stated, "Screw this. I call to the bee," but Naruto found himself cut off by a mental clearing of a giant one-tailed dragon's throat. Naruto sighed, then roared, "I call to the spirit inside. Free the dragon." A massive surge of energy burst out of Naruto. The massive Hulk-busting behemoth of an armor surrounding Naruto shattered like glass, and a black aura rose above it. "I will not be denied that which I desire." The once again disembodied Dai Shi raged. "Rangers, now." RJ called, having stealthily brought the Zords back behind Dai Shi and at an angle to avoid the ninja on the ground. Which included the barely conscious Naruto, whose energy died back down after kicking the Behexus out of Dai Shi's incorporeal ass. The Rhino Zord charged, and its nose grew into a long-bladed sword and pierced through the darkness. The rest of the Zords took off and attacked from different directions, and finally all retreated after moments of relentless attacks that seemed to do nothing but piss Dai Shi off further. It seemed as if all was lost. Dai Shi sent out another pulse and blasted everything that was within a 100-foot radius away, including trees and part of the small lake they were near. Fortunately, it was not enough water to cause a major tidal wave to hit the shore. Kakashi had had enough. He was fortunate that the combined powers Haku and Sasuke had fueled the seal he used previously, else he would not even be at a quarter strength right now. But thanks to them, he was at more than 65%, while they only looked slightly worse for wear. He glanced up at RJ and his mechanized summons and steeled himself as he made 3 small adjustments to the seal and called out, "Move." To which RJ and the rest did so. Even Haku and Sasuke having seen the dangerous look in his exposed eye. "I'm sorry Rin, I swore I would never use the power your death gave me, but I must to save our sensei's son." Kakashi lifted his hit-eye, revealing his 3 Tomo Sharingan, which then transformed into 3 interconnected blades. He focused on the monster with all his might, using half of his remaining chakra for this one thing, and then called out, "Kamui." The world around the floating entity raged as it was slowly pulled into a swirly tear in the very fabric of reality. Little by little the being was drawn in until finally, there was no sign of the dark primal force. Kakashi's eye returned to that of his normal Sharingan. He lowered his hit-eye. RJ's Wolf Zord disengaged once again as said ranger leaped to the ground, landing with a force that sent a minor shock wave. Kakashi had nearly lowered his guard until, "Don't stand down yet. I still feel Dai Shi. Whatever you did is holding him and will for a few minutes, but even now he is trying to force his way out. Otherwise I wouldn't still feel him, nor would the Zords still be so antsy, as they are part of the very spirits of Phai Zhau. Do you have anything stronger possibly? If Master Mao was here, he could have aided us with a touch of his wisdom, but if he wasn't here from the start, he must be elsewhere or when helping to deal with another threat. And Lily, our Yellow Ranger, is not here with Casey and Theo." She showed up for the Ultra Zord formation, but once it was broken apart, her connection was lost and she was sent back before they could attempt to stop Dai Shi again. He made sure one of the 3 chosen were taken out first. It was those 3 who were the chosen ones, but it doesn't quite work with the chosen 2, otherwise they would have immediately tried that option. "We just don't have the firepower to beat him without more actual Phai Zhau Rangers right now," RJ explained quickly as he could. Kakashi takes a few seconds to catch his breath after exerting himself so much on Kamui. He then pulls out his last sheet of sealing paper and states, "I'm no Hokage, but my master taught me this in case I ever did take on the role. It was only to ever be used as a last resort to protect Konoha, as my life will likely be forfeit to ensure victory. Well, if this thing keeps pushing forward the way it is, there won't be anyone in Konoha to stop it, and we need to keep Sandai Emi-sama until another Hokage is groomed and strong enough for the position." A lone tear falls as Kakashi meticulously recreates the seal his master taught him so many years ago. The last thing he ever taught Kakashi before his death. He would not let Naruto or his other wards die because he was too afraid to. The copycat nin prepared to do what needed to be done, but RJ grabbed his arm and said, "There's got to be another way. Sacrificing oneself for the greater good is cool and all, but from the little I have seen, your student still needs you." Kakashi was touched by the words of the stranger, but he was first and foremost a shinobi of Konoha. He vanished in a shunshin and appeared behind RJ, hitting a pressure point in his neck. The Wolf Ranger, not expecting this, fell unconscious. An actual visible crack was seen piercing the sky. Kakashi turned to the now semi-conscious Naruto and said, "If your dad is really in there, tell him I said, thanks for everything." Naruto, not really knowing the sensei very well, didn't have a problem with him per se, nor was he super close, but he did see him as an ally in arms. It hurt his heart to hear someone sound as if they were going to die. He nodded responsibly as his parents explained what Kakashi was about to do. They warned Naruto not to interfere, even if it did hurt. This is what it meant to be ninja. This is what it meant to be a Hokage. The fissure opened wider and wider until an eye could be seen. Think of Soren from Lord of the Rings, but in a sickly brown color. Kakashi was about to tell Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Haku to get out of there, but realized they would ignore him. He fought back small smile under his mask as he bit his finger and went through a complex set of seals until only one remained. Sakura, not really understanding, but Sasuke and Haku realized it was sort of suicide jutsu, only stood there, horrified that it had come to this, but in humble respect of what the man was about to do. As sweat drenched his face, Kakashi finished the final hand sign and slammed his hand down on the written seal as he called out, Shiki Fuin, dead demon consuming seal. The aged Hokage sat in his office fighting the growing urge to rub his temples. The story he just heard could only be construed as madness, but he would not be able to keep this quiet without a load of other headache from his former teammate and political rival, thus causing him to go into a semi-early grave. He decided to accept the new stranger as an official citizen of Konoha and would protect Haku alongside Sasuke and Naruto. Flashback. Itachi Kakashi, Jonin captain and sensei of Team 7, had just done the unthinkable. Everyone watched as a towering monolith of a phantom presented itself behind the one-eyed Jonin. Upon finishing the ritual, Kakashi felt not only his chakra running low, but his time as well. He turned and knelt down in respect. His mouth dry, but he could not let his few short remaining moments be wasted. He raised his head and stated, Shinigami-sama. I, Kakashi of the Itachi clan, and potential heir apparent to the title of Lord Hokage of the Hidden Leaf, have made the request to summon you forth. A great and mighty evil has descended upon our world and will upset the very balance of natural versus unnatural. He is currently trapped in a small barrier between worlds, but I don't know how much longer I can hold him there. Even now he tries to break free. The deity chosen to oversee the affairs concerning life and death sensed a powerful being and looked to his left and into the night sky. Small cracks of a sickening purple light flickered in and out, visible through the night fog. Dai Shi. The Ancient One roared. A quickly bubbling rage clearly present. He turned to the silver-haired masked shinobi who had the audacity to summon him and demanded, why is this abomination in my domain? Answer swiftly or I will destroy this very world to keep him from escaping my grasp once more. A bluff to be sure, as not even he had the authority to do so, despite having the power. The downed ranger shook off the blow to the back of his head. That voice sounded familiar. Extremely familiar. His eyes were blurry, but he arose slowly and steadily. The now demurfed, slightly bearded man's eyes began to clear. All of this over the course of a few seconds. Despite the massive power he felt, he knew he recognized at least part of that mighty feline spirit. He knelt and prepared to speak. I don't know what's happened to you in my absence, master, but it's good to see you again, Mao. We don't have long, but the long and short of the story is that Dai Shi somehow escaped destruction when Casey, Theo and Lily fought him last. They eradicated just enough of him to leave him alive, but he's returned, stronger than ever. RJ tried to explain, but was interrupted. Why are you in this world, RJ? You do not belong here. This is not your time or place. The Reaper, having regained his calm, asked, having recognized one of his school's former students and now master-level practitioners. RJ sighed, but answered quickly. I was in the greatest war the world had ever known against a spacefaring empire known as the Armada. It took the power of over 100 rangers to push them back, but we did eventually succeed. 100 rangers. 100 active Power Rangers, Mao the Shinigami gasped in disbelief. RJ nodded and continued, we finished the battle and used a massive burst teleport to send us to where should have been home, but it turned out to where we were needed most. I don't sense many animal spirits near, at least not in the way we knew them. But I came across one today and knew I had to intervene before this untrained cub accidentally unleashed. RJ pointed Naruto out. The crack, nearly completely unsealed, caused an earth-shaking tremor. Mao performed a few hand seals unrecognized by the ninja present. The temperature dropped drastically at the last one. An unrecognizable letter or calligraphy appeared on Mao's now human-like hand and began to glow. Mao's form had now become human. He wore a golden robe and ascended upon the clouds like a force of nature. Mao thrust the hand forward toward the crackling sky. There was nothing. No sound. Not a flicker of air. And after a few seconds all Tartarus broke loose. The sky exploded with energy. Kakashi felt a brief surge of chakra, more than he'd ever felt. It threatened to overwhelm him. The dark force tore through Kakasahi's dimensional wall before he could try to trap him again and give the Wolf Ranger a chance to try something far more dangerous. To his surprise, Dai Shi's now cloud-like form froze in cold furious fury as he felt his one-time captor Mao's presence. He subconsciously started forming into a physical form but felt his energy slowly being siphoned away. He glanced at Mao's hand and let loose an animal-like growl. "You won't escape my blades this time, Mao. You even came back to the mortal world in that shell to honor me with the opportunity to drench the ground with your lifeblood, old friend." Dai Shi materialized a new golden battle armor in the blink of an eye. A territorial battle, or so one would think. No one noticed the glowing Kakashi behind Mao Shinigami-sama. Kakashi leaped over Mao with a silent prayer of "please let this work." Two energy surges in each hand growing larger as he closed his hands two within a foot of each other. He then focused his chakra on keeping the energy from destabilizing as he concentrated on making the now single energy field larger. Kakashi came before the now completely human-sized mutant-looking Dai Shi, thrust a 4-foot ball of crackling lightning surrounding a spiraling sphere. He then let out a primal scream, Raiden. Idamura Sengen. Inside Naruto's seal, Minato got a small chill and glanced through Naruto's barely conscious eyes. Minato's jaw dropped out of annoyance and pride. Meanwhile, Dai Shi, who was already losing energy, quickly screamed out in agony at the surprise attack. Mao, who was annoyed at being interrupted, did not miss his opportunity either. He slid to the side and thrust his fist forward, and a legion of small cat spirits appeared and shredded most of Dai Shi's new armor, hitting Dai Shi's side as soon as Kakashi fell to his knees from chakra exhaustion. Dai Shi roared in pain. RJ appeared in Dai Shi's path. Dai Shi was launched and thrust his elbow into Dai Shi's face. Dai Shi was brought to his knees. His armor falling apart. Master Mao appeared again, but behind Dai Shi this time. "No mercy." Mao commanded. "We can take no chances." Dai Shi knew that his existence was in danger. No taunting. No distractions. No chance to regain his strength. He had to do something quickly. He barely rolled out of the way, avoiding Mao's strike. Mao's hand still had that sigil. The great evil sensed the one he wanted from the beginning. The one with a weak soul, filled with vengeance and easily manipulable. But something had changed, and quickly. He wanted nothing more than to protect those around him. That will make taking him over nearly impossible, especially with his current state. The last one he tried to take over has internal help in addition to those on the outside. That would be an act in futility. And as long as he was near Infernal Seal on Mao's hands. He didn't know if it would work, and he was already near death. He could feel it. How had Mao become so powerful? What deal did he make? How can I obtain this power? Dai Shi pondered as he ducked and dodged attacks from RJ and Mao. Kakashi too weak to move, barely alive due to his contract with Mao, and using an overpowered Rasengan. Dai Shi knew that if Mao touched him with that seal sigil once more, he was done for. He did the only thing he could. He gave up on any hope of winning this battle. Any hope of returning to his former glory. He would bide his time and return when the time was right. Dai Shi leaped into the night sky and calmly stated, "Mao is dead and cannot come to your aid on a whim. Even I am aware of such rules. I don't know how he acquired such power, but I shall learn, and I shall return someday." A certain blonde, having regained some of his chakra thanks to a new and beefed-up Kurama dragon, he leaped into the air and drew a kunai. "I haven't had a lot of sensei who acted like they gave a darn about me, so I'll be damned if I let his sacrifice be in vain." Naruto's small-bladed weapon might have hit his mark had he not pronounced it to the world. Dai Shi vanished in a cloud of black smoke, and Naruto fell toward the ground. Haku caught him, but noticed Mao stared angrily at him. Naruto paid him no attention, but ran over to his teacher and tried to give some of his chakra. RJ stepped in on his behalf as Mao was about to make himself known in a less than pleasant light. This was not a part of the job Mao enjoyed, but Kakashi did invoke his contract, and that is a debt that must be paid. Kakashi did feel the strange warmth of new life fill his body slightly, but it also felt as if something was pulling him toward the darkness as well. It was not pleasant. "Master," RJ started. "Stop, Robert. When I took on this responsibility, I had to acknowledge some hard truths that I didn't want to, and one of them was that this responsibility can be hard, but it must be done, and it was going to either go to me or someone who would more than likely use these gifts for less than honorable means. These powers are not meant for personal gain, and using them for such could cause destruction on a scale the likes of which, well, maybe you do know from this war you came from. I heard of a Ranger war many years ago, but I thought it was just a few teams reactivated. So you know why I cannot be lax in my duties." RJ took a moment to take in what Mao just said and let out a breath he didn't know he was holding, then asked. "Master, I know Kakashi made a deal, but please let him have a few weeks. Just long enough to get his affairs in order. He took on one of our enemies from our world. If nothing else, he should be given that honor." Naruto cried. Sakura, Haku and Sasuke, who were all out of sight for the most part, joined Naruto, and being nearly out of chakra didn't really know what they could do in the fight or even if they could help in this situation. Mao's eyebrow rose and he called out, "You, blonde boy. I see that you wear the symbol of the village hidden in the leaves. And since this whole mess seemed to surround you, I want you to inform Sarutobi Hiruzen that I am not pleased a non-active Hokage knows my jutsu, and if he does not believe you, inform him of the keywords Phantom Breaker. Your friends cannot hear me. I respect the fact that you stood up to me, but do so again, boy, and I will take you to meet your parents personally permanently. And I will take the spirit fragments of theirs that you currently hold and shove them in my gut, while making you wait a year or 3 in a desert, not letting you die before returning to reclaim your soul. And yes, I can sense them hiding behind what is that? The dragon, you know what, I don't even care right now. Am I clear?" Well, Mao was not actually that much of an ass, his title had certain requirements, one being, people feared the freaking Shinigami. So when Naruto nearly wet his pants, he was satisfied. As for Kakashi, Mao raised his arm toward Kakashi. Kakashi's body raised and a seal appeared on the back of his neck. It burned a bit and woke Kakashi from his very restless lullaby. Mao spoke aloud, "You have 2 weeks to get your affairs in order. You all will keep this silent with the exception to Hiruzen or there will be consequences. At the end of those 14 days, you will leave your body, no matter where you are, so I'd recommend being in a hospital bed or at home, with plans for a visitor etc. to be found. No one should know when they die. It goes against the natural order of things. Even I don't peek at that list unless I really need to. I will meet you to take you to the next phase of your existence, then Hotaki Kakashi. Do you understand?" Kakashi was lowered, his strength and chakra generously restored. He knelt and stated, "Thank you, Shinigami-sama. How may I repay your once in 10 lifetimes generosity?" Mao did not expect that question, but gave it a fair consideration. Finally he said, "Make sure my student is accepted into the Hidden Leaf. I doubt he will become a shinobi unless there is no other choice, but he will need a way to start a restaurant," he said with surprising humor. Then he continued, "And perhaps have him take over for the Orange One's training. The impossible others will need special training if the ancient spirit animals have been awakened in this world." While Kakashi didn't know what spirit animals were, he did have a general idea of what he could do for Naruto and RJ now. He stood up and looked at Sakura, Sasuke, and Haku. Haku was not even a member of his team or member of his village yet. It might just be possible to leave behind his own will of fire. Kakashi turned back to Mao and said, "It shall be done." RJ walked over to Mao and hugged him, sensing it was time for Mao to depart. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke started to get a full grasp of what was happening, and their hearts ached. Tears fell bit by bit, especially after Kakashi promised not to let anything happen to them in his fight against the demon of the hidden mist. Haku's respect for the man soared as she realized the type of man her master truly faced. Mao's appearance melted away and grew as he took on his ethereal form once again. In a blinding light, he was gone faster than he appeared. Kakashi looked at his team and the 2 new additions. The purple-wearing warrior was again in his civilian attire, but something odd happened. The remaining machines started vanishing, but not before shrinking and phasing through RJ. Each time they did, his clothes were repaired. A large duffel bag appeared and seemed full. After all of the Zords vanished, 2 and then a third person appeared, all older and weathered. The third simply said, "Sorry I was a little late to the party, but it's best to be fashionably late for the hero." The third voice was the voice of the Jungle Fury Cheetah's spirited ranger. She and the other 2 materialized and hugged RJ. "We can take you home and return you to your time. We are together, and even though we are no longer alive, I think we can pull off one last chosen one miracle." Theo suggested, low enough that only RJ and his former team could hear, so he thought, not knowing about Kakashi's canine-like hearing. RJ shook his head and said, "I have work that needs to be done, and something tells me that my time in our former home has run its course. I am where I am meant to be." They let go of each other. After separating, they started to vanish. Pacey smiled and stated, "We are proud of you, master," knowing how much RJ hated using his title, but had to get in one final tease, as this might be their last time seeing each other, as RJ will fall under the pantheon of this universe. And while this is not a part of the Phai Zhau, it still fits. Keep your head up, hold on to the honor and courage you have inside. Know that we will always be with you, and may the power protect you always. RJ teared up, as did his former students who reverted to the way they looked when he first met them. Young and full of life despite having been long departed from the grip of life. Pacey, former leader of the Jungle Fury Phai Zhao team, looked to Naruto and said, "I can feel it. A power much like our own, but massive." "Young man," he caught Naruto's attention. Naruto, who was still in shock at the thought of losing Kakashi in less than 2 weeks, managed to raise his head. "Yeah?" he answered, trying to keep the bitterness out of his voice, having subconsciously blocked his parents. RJ is currently the only one on this world who should have access to the teachings of the Phai Zhau. If he is willing, hear him, his very heart. Know that he will help you to grow strong enough to protect those that you care for in the future. He will help to carry on the legacy of your current sensei. Casey encouraged. After a moment, Naruto teared up slightly, but wiped his eyes and nodded. Yes sir, showing a rare moment of respect to an elder. As the last wisp of the former Ranger team vanished, RJ heard one last thing from the former dancer Lily. I feel it. There will be a new team. Naruto will lead them well, but only when the time is right. Before RJ could reply, they were gone. Kakashi stepped forward and put a comforting hand on RJ's shoulder. I don't know why, but even I feel it. You will do well by my team. I just hope Lord Hokage thinks the same. RJ was about to object, but Kakashi cut him off immediately. I am entrusting my sensei's son to you, a secret meant to be carried to my and very few others' grave, until he was much older and able to protect himself. He will need others to watch his back. I will need you to make sure that happens. Or perhaps I need to do something foolish and go against Shinigami-sama. I am already on a tight leash before my time runs out, but I need your word. Will you honor my request? Because I will tear through heaven and hell to get back here to exact my revenge, if you say you will and then don't follow through, and as you've just seen. Death is not always the end. RJ's eyes hardened to an equal amount as Kakashi's. Eyes meet and Kakashi had a distinct impression that the man in front of him would break an illusion faster than the Sharingan could cast it. But to his surprise, RJ backed down with a smirk and said, with a sensei willing to fight for his students like that, I would be honored to stand in for you. I am not okay with assassinations, but being a member of the Order of the Claw or the Phai Zhau, I can teach that as well. So rest assured I will do my best to have your team bring honor to you and your home. RJ held his hand out and after a few seconds, Kakashi shook it. Naruto and the others grabbed RJ's bags and they all started to trek back to Tezuna's house. They sat in Tezuna's home, a deathly silence among them, after talking about the impending death of the beloved sensei of Team 7. Naruto was the most affected because he never really knew any other sensei, other than Iruka, that gave even the slightest hint at caring for him. Sasuke sat there, his fists tightened, thinking about how he is losing someone precious to him, again, which is why he refused to get very close to anyone again. Weak, just like he said. I was too weak to stop this from happening, and now I'm losing my sensei. I will become strong and take my revenge, and protect those close to me. Looking to Naruto, as if hoping to see him giving his smile requiring SPF 100, Sasuke saw a despondent Naruto, looking as if he was at fault for what was happening. He looked to Sakura, who looked back at him. Sasuke? Are you okay? You should be asking the dope that. He's in more need of this than I am. In need of what? You're trying to give me comfort, and I don't need it. I'm an Avenger. What I need is to get stronger. Sasuke, everyone needs comfort. Enough, all of you. I may be dying soon, but that is no reason to let our team fall apart. Sasuke, I know you're blaming yourself for this, and it wouldn't be any good to tell you to not blame yourself, but don't abandon your teammates in their time of need. Sakura, as Sasuke said, Naruto is in as much need of being comforted as Sasuke. Naruto is probably the most fragile in this situation, due to this being centered around him. He was alone in the academy and feels most alone now. Kakashi looks at Naruto, giving an eye smile. I chose this to protect you, my precious little students. Looking at you Naruto, I think of someone precious that I lost, and how you remind me so much of him. I don't want you to lose that because of something that was above your control. You will grow strong or I will haunt you from the next life to do so. Naruto immediately paled at the thought of Kakashi's ghost haunting him. I will do my best to grow strong, sensei. He looks at RJ and wonders what's going to happen. Sensei, what are we going to do about him? Is he going to come back with us? Yes, it was a request from the Shinigami. Yes, I am little dude, and his name was Master Mao. He was one of the most powerful masters where I am from. I have to admit that you're pretty strong. I guess we'll be getting to know one another over these next few weeks. A couple days later. RJ Haku and Team 7 stand atop of the newly completed bridge, in front of the whole village, waving them goodbye and thanking them for saving their skins. Inari looks at Naruto and tries not to cry. Tezuna gives a hearty chuckle and sends them off on a high note. As the group walks away, Tezuna and the other villagers realize they hadn't named the bridge yet. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? As much as the little sprout had an impact, I think it needs to have a more impactful name. Inari speaks up after thinking about the colored spandex wearing protectors and the giant machines they summoned. How about the Bridge of the Claw? That sounds great, brat. That's what it shall be. 3 days later. Village hidden in the leaves. Finally we're home. I can't wait to get some Ichiraku ramen. As much as I would like to go train dope, we still have to report in. Sasuke's right, you loser. Sakura shouted, hoping to keep Naruto distracted from what was soon to come. While she knew a serious friendship would not arise overnight, she would do her part to help her teammate. Are they always like this? Haku deadpanned. Unfortunately. If I had any regrets, it would be not being able to see them grow into the ninja I know they can become. I have a feeling you'll be able to see it, no matter where you are, RJ offered silently. The group moved to the Hokage Tower, to an aging Hokage that would probably turn into dust after the report he was about to receive. He looked at Team 7 and the two extras with an elderly sigh. Report, Kakashi. After going through the events of the mission, start to finish, Kakashi felt an icy chill on his back. As Naruto started to feel it, he remembered what Mao said to him and started to speak. Wait, Gigi. I just remembered to tell you something. The Shinigami said he's not happy that a non-active Hokage invoked his contract, and to mention Phantom Breaker. At the immediate mention of those words, a scroll was immediately on the Hokage's desk, and a faint glow shows an ethereal Mao, ready to appear. Lord Third performs the hand signs necessary to summon forth a Shinigami to discuss matters normally beyond mortal comprehension. Lord Shinigami, I request your audience. A smaller yet still potent Mao appears in a burst of flames that did not burn, standing on the scroll, looking at all who were in the room, and settling on Naruto for a moment. I see you have followed my instructions to a T. Well done, young Uzumaki. He turns to Lord Third, with a stern glare on his face. You should be ashamed of yourself that one of your subordinates invoked my contract. Everything that the young ones have told is accurate, and I expect the requests to be followed or you'll be the next one on my list. It took a lot of self-control from the young genin to not act on the threat of their leader's life. Haku was indifferent, and RJ went to defuse the growing situation. Calm yourselves, young ones. You all must understand that this is what happens when a contract is invoked or broken. It's like a vow and it must be upheld. Your sensei and leader know that. For now, let's let things unfold. Now, for the other business. My former student RJ is in need of a place in your village. He will look after your young ones and teach them in Kakashi's stead after his departure. I'm sure you'll have another sensei to guide them on missions. In light of this, and after discovering the history of the village, I now understand what has happened to the blonde. The fox you all fear is no longer a factor. Young Naruto has changed tremendously, but do not reveal that to the masses for a couple years. He is already more aware of the change than you shall ever be. Just know that you are safe as long as RJ is allowed to train him. What? Lord Third immediately had Naruto restrained to look at his seal. The others in the room, aside from Haku, Kakashi and RJ, were freaking out. Naruto is screaming out, trying to understand what was going on, having Hiruzen on him faster than the eye could see. He calmed after a few seconds and looked to RJ and Mao. What's going on? Just relax, little man. Everything will work out. RJ is right. They just want to check to make sure everything is alright with you and what used to be your tenant. After checking and feeling not only a different chakra than what was originally Kurama's, but also the chakra of Minato and Kushina, Lord Third allowed Naruto to relax and look to RJ. I see you are a relaxed kind of person and not much for killing unless necessary. From what I can understand you are a teacher of sorts, but what can you offer to the village? Where I was from, I ran a pizza shop. It was the best pizza in the area. Mao confirms this and that the village wouldn't have to worry about much as RJ is concerned. He then had to excuse himself. In the spirit realm prior to being summoned to the Hokage's office. Oh Mao, you have no hope of stopping me. I will rule this new world and no one will stop me. The maniacal laughter from Dai Shi was enough for Mao to weaken him with an attack, but not enough to stop him completely. Unfortunately, Dai Shi escaped out of Mao's grasp. Another time, Mao. Damn it, I lost him again. 10 days later. RJ has his space picked out just in time for the funeral of a man that was not unlike himself. Having been walked through the man-student's behaviors and what to expect from a certain green spandex-wearing individual, he walks to the cemetery to see a gathering. The individual that was mentioned before was now in all black, declaring in a somber fashion that he would find the enemy who did this, just to keep himself from revealing that he had somewhat figured out the truth. He was still saddened that one of his best friends had fallen, but was glad it was in a most youthful way. Mido Guy played the role of the fool well, but the day before, Kakashi pulled him to the side and simply stated. When one's life is given for the inner fire, Guy knew that Kakashi was saying goodbye. A single tear dropped as Guy gave his old friend a hug and turned away, not sure he could prevent himself from trying to pry the truth out of Kakashi and trying to help his best friend in some way. Aside from Konoha's beautiful green beast Guy and his team, there was Team 7, as well as Kakashi's academy classmates and their squads. There was even a girl in a Chunin vest with long black hair, tied up. RJ wasn't sure how things like funerals worked, but knew that complete strangers weren't supposed to just show up. He walks over to her and pats her on the shoulder. I know this isn't my place, but why are you wearing a vest like that to an event such as this? I have a mission after this, and I normally wear black, purple and silver anyways. Was he someone related to you? Kind of, no one knows of it though. Ah, adopted? No, we're biologically related. My adopted mom always made sure to tell me who my parents were and gave me the option to follow in their steps. He was my dad, and I decided to follow him and become a ninja, but I took my mom's last name as a precaution. I will continue on his legacy even if it's from the shadows. That's good to know. I hope to see you around, kid. Little did RJ know it would be one of the only times he would see her. He went and stood behind Naruto, putting his hand on his shoulder. Looking behind him and seeing RJ, Naruto acknowledged him. You made it. Always pay respect to those who have fallen, even if they sometimes don't deserve it. RJ felt unusually sage-like in this statement, but felt it would be respectful to say something. He thought of how to bring up Naruto's training, but instead decided to tell him outright. I have a favor to ask of you, and I think it will help your training tremendously. Really? What kind of favor is it? Naruto asked, still sad, but knowing his responsibility to train under RJ. It would probably be considered what you call a D rank, but it requires a lot of heavy lifting. I finally found the space where I want to open my restaurant. Ever heard of pizza? Naruto deflated upon hearing D rank, but considered the possibility of getting stronger and was baffled on the last thing. What's a pizza? RJ smirked. It's like bread with sauce, cheese and various other toppings. I need help renovating the place and from what I heard, you're a one-man wrecking construction crew. I'll let you have a pie on the house. That sounds awesome. When do we start? Next week. I need to get it finalized and get the permits and we'll be in business. For now let's focus on honoring your sensei. They were at the front of the line for leaving flowers on the casket and saying a prayer for their comrade. Naruto placed the flower, put his hands together and muttered a silent prayer. Up above the rain clouds, Kakashi gives an eye smile as Mao stands behind him, seeing that Kakashi wasn't truly alone aside from his students. As Lord Third gave his parting words to the last known Hokage, his ethereal form started to fade into the next plane, feeling that somehow, some way if he's ever truly needed, he'll be called on. A few days later. Council chambers. Hiruzen, this is unacceptable. There's no way we can just allow a former enemy and an unknown to be part of the village. There's also the matter of Uzumaki Naruto and the nine-tailed fox. He could go berserk at any time and you're willing to let it happen. Silence. I am the Hokage and you're only here to give me advice. First of all, the one known as Haku is not an enemy, he's an ally. He's been working for me under Zob Uzumamachi for the last 2 years. Sadly their missions clashed and I couldn't get word out to Kakashi in time to save his life. Second, RJ. As he is called, is contributing to the village via restaurant and mentoring Naruto Uzumaki and others as he sees fit. Personally I think it would be better if he was en route. Personally I deny ever hearing that Danzo for if I did hear that route, an organization I ordered disbanded over 10 years ago, that could very easily be construed as treason. With all the bickering that was going on, no one noticed the door opening, revealing 2 of the people that were being talked about and Sasuke. Excuse us honorable elders, but I think I have a solution to one of your problems. I request that Haku be placed under the protection of my clan's banner. Ah Sasuke, you come at a most opportune time and give a great option. I'll allow it. The elders did not like that at all. They looked at Naruto, and Lord Third remembered to say something regarding their earlier statements. I almost forgot the nine-tailed fox is no longer an issue. Its chakra and healing factor remain, but the fox is dead. Naruto has somehow reformed its power into the appearance of a dragon, but no consciousness on his last mission. There's also the chakra signatures of Kushina Uzumaki and the 4th Hokage in the seal. There is no reason to worry about that. The elders' faces at that statement were priceless nonetheless. Naruto shrugged it off before asking something that would sound disrespectful. Hey Gigi, when are we getting a new sensei? I was getting around to that assignment after the meeting, but for now you need to finish helping RJ with setting up his space. Team 7 will meet with their new sensei in 1 week. 2/3 of Team 7 nodded in affirmation with a respectful yes sir. Naruto quickly remembered as an afterthought. Hey Gigi. The Hokage glanced at Naruto and gave a nod for him to continue and he did. As I am sole heir of the Namikaze estate and Uzumaki clan name and title of heir apparent, I grant Mamachi Haku protection under the banner of the Uzumaki clan in case one of the honorable counselors attempts to force Haku into that old outdated craw. And I've offered my clan's backing to the Uchiha clan as well. Before the elders could remotely raise a fuss, Sasuke stated, and I accepted and offer Haku and Uzumaki Naruto and his clan the friendship of my clan upon approval of you, Lord Hokage. Naruto nodded his assent and agreement and waited on the third's decision as to if he would try to come in between clan politics. Danzo slammed his cane down and was about to start. Hiruzen raised a good deal of killing intent toward Danzo and his former teammates. Not expecting such a fierceness, Danzo was almost knocked on his ass. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned toward Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke and stated, "It will be good to see the Uchiha and Senju ni Uzumaki as a united force in Konoha again. Congratulations, gentlemen. You have just entered into the world of politics. I hope you are prepared for the storm of idiocy coming your way. I will also be talking with the young Mamachi about his plans and if he will be joining as a shinobi or civilian. Details to be worked out later as it seems I am in need of an extra meeting to remind those in the upper Konoha government who wears the hat." 1 week later. Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke stand in training ground 7 with RJ, knowing why he's there, even if he looks hesitant about it. All of a sudden a poof of smoke appears, revealing a woman with a short spiky fan ponytail, light brown eyes, and wearing a fitted mesh bodysuit with a tan overcoat that somewhat shows a dark orange miniskirt, a dark blue belt and pale gray shin guards. Her headband rests on her forehead under a fringe of her violet hair. If one looked close enough, they'd notice a necklace with what looks like a pendant of a snake's fang. Alright, this is Team 7, am I correct? She was overly boisterous to the point where Naruto would be put to shame. A dango stick rests outside her mouth as she had been munching on some before going to meet her sorry saps. She expertly throws the stick like a senbon and narrowly misses Naruto. Alright, listen up, I'm Anko Midarashi, your new sensei. I'm not like Kakashi in his aloof nature and sure as hell I'm not going to leave you to your own devices either. A team of mine is going to be stronger than most S-rank ninja, do I make myself clear? She got a terrified look from Sakura but a high-pitched hi Taicho. Essentially yes sir captain. In return before turning to RJ, I assume you're supposed to help with the brats training. To an extent, but only when they're ready. For now, I'm here to observe so I can figure out my strategy for teaching them, well at least Naruto. For now though, it's getting close to time for Naruto to help me with my little project, if that's alright with you sensei. He asked with a small smirk. Anko shook her head and shrugged and said, I guess we start conditioning training tomorrow. Alright. See you guys later. Naruto called out as he took off at a sprint to get back to his task of helping RJ. Anko looked at them with a slightly sadistic smile on her face and dismissed the others. An old building 2 blocks over from Ichiraku's, as Naruto refused to go in the building if it was too close to Ichiraku's. No way he would help build something that might hurt their business. Alright, from what I know, you can make physical spiritual shadow clones, right? I can make almost 2,000 clones before feeling like I ran from here to wave, full speed non-stop. Is that what you need? Naruto seemed eager in starting up on training and was willing to sacrifice the chakra this once for it. RJ nearly tripped over his feet at that, but then said, let's start with 50 or so. I don't want you to accidentally burn yourself out. A technique like that has to be dangerous. Naruto was about to argue the point, but a small mental nudge from his mother's essence got Naruto immediately hush and give a small mock salute to which RJ was grateful. RJ thought for a moment, then stated, we just need to clean up the place and prepare to remodel it. What does that mean? It means to make it look different. Oh cool. Let's get started. The cheer of 50 clones made RJ cover his ears. He was nevertheless amused and looking forward to making Naruto as strong as he could be. 2 weeks later. What is now Jangurukuruma Pizza, Jungle Karma Pizza. The cobblestone-covered building with a sign saying Jungle Karma Pizza was opening up with a sweaty blonde in front, waiting for his team to come along. I hope they didn't get lost or forget I worked so hard to make this awesome. At the end of that thought, familiar duck butt haircut, pink hair, and new dango-eating sensei come into view. You guys made it. Of course dope, we were wondering what you had been working on with RJ this past week. Sasuke taunted lightly. I never heard of pizza, but it sounds interesting. Well I got a free pizza pie for helping, so it's on me. Team 7, with Anko as their sensei made their way into the new establishment, their curiosity piqued and ready to train. RJ meets them and has them sit at the pizza bar. As I have said, 1 pizza pie. Enjoy. The team would enjoy pizza in Kakashi's honor and start training under the supervision of a new sensei. No one knows that Naruto has also assisted in the building of a new training center living quarters should the need arise, but nonetheless is there. Naruto asked RJ if he could move in due to rent at his apartment being too high to even consider being able to live there. The answer was yes, but Naruto had to work at the pizzeria part-time as rent. He didn't mind, but was afraid he would drive away business until Anko suggested using a transformation technique. The civilians wouldn't even know, plus consider it a chakra exercise. We'll be able to test how long your chakra can last. Also use your shadow clones to make it easy on yourself and transform into different appearances. This should definitely increase your control and your reserves, not that you need the latter. Why didn't I think of that? Thanks Anko-sensei. Don't thank me for that, it should be common sense. Either way, training at 6 AM brats. Anko disappeared, leaving them with 6 slices of pizza and to discuss among themselves how things have gone on with their grieving and their individual training. Flashback. Naruto and Kakashi. Just a couple days after returning, Kakashi decided to have some one-on-one time with his sensei's son before departing to the afterlife and joining his childhood team. Naruto, I know you haven't been doing well since we've returned. Even after bragging about going to grab some ramen, you didn't. Sensei, it's been tough. I haven't slept the last couple nights and I got this on my door this morning. Naruto hands Kakashi a red sheet of paper to read. Immediately, Kakashi's eye narrowed and softened, looking at Naruto. Seeing how his young student looked helpless, his anger dissipated and in its place compassion. Everything will be fine, Naruto. Most of the time you'll be on missions, but I do understand your concern about what this is. Even if I have a limited time left, I can teach you about money and how to save it. Sensei, I do know how to budget and all, but rent takes up most of my money and I barely have enough to get the basics. Missions don't pay much unless I take every single one, and this newly ranked A mission is already spent due to this. Well, I could at least teach you about cleaning up behind yourself. Your apartment is least to be desired. I'll take that as part of your final lesson, Sensei. Present. Naruto gives a smile to his teammates. I've been applying Kakashi-sensei's lessons to the T. I hope to be as strong as Sensei one day and become the Hokage. Your goal is never going to change, is it, dope? Sasuke gives a smile, taking to heart what Kakashi said about teamwork. The nickname didn't have the jibe it used to, but it was hard to come up with anything else that fit Naruto. Sakura shook her head, amused and impressed with the place that Naruto has helped to build. Sampling the pizza, she smiles and just listens to the boys, thinking about what Kakashi told her in their one-on-one talk. Sensei, I will be an asset to them, helping them and not hindering them. The three took in the comfortable silence around them and just looked about the place. Seeing the brick pizza oven and plants surrounding the area, making it seem like they were in the jungle, they felt like they were at home, to say the least. Two of them were thinking about whether or not Naruto is going to start referring to pizza as the new food of choice, but probably wouldn't mind it since it is somewhat healthier, and for Sasuke, all the tomatoes on a slice that he can eat. It was heavenly for the normally greedy Uchiha, but he'd never admit as much. Content in the moment, none of them consider the training that Anko is going to put them through, and now that Naruto can join them full-time again. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.